leader of the 3rd Squad of the Shinsengumi.
Shizo Hijikata, assistant leader of the Shinsengumi. Okita, I recommend that you stand down. That man over there, the infamous Batosai, the master. People's wolves are here. It's the Shinsengumi.
What is up, guys? DT Ninja here to give you guys my RuroKen Hokkaido Arc Chapter 44 review. Yes, guys, this is the review, and then next week I will do the discussion. Now, I have the actual scans of the chapter, so we're actually going to look in depth at the chapter. So yeah, we're going to do that here in a moment. I also am going to give you guys some spoilers at the very end. These spoilers are from chapter 47, which is the one I'm working on right now. So you guys will get a first look at chapter 47, and it's pretty interesting. So let's get to the chapter. I'm going to go right into the pages so you guys will see up close. Alright guys, so now we're going to take a closer look at the scans, the pages of the chapter. This is chapter 44 of the Hokkaido arc. You got Nagakura here, and it explains some background information, his Shinsengumi life, how he trained in the dojo, how he's living in the Meiji era now. And down here, it says Sapporo Shinsengumi Elegy Part 9, and then it says Ryubi no Ken, which is the dragon-tailed sword. That's the one that you can see the dragon in the background. That is the technique and sword of Nagakura. That is his technique. And then it says Hyobei Futatsu. Now, originally, when I translated Hyobei Futatsu, I just figured, oh, that's his name. That's, you know, that's the name of the guy. And I thought it was kind of weird. So I went back to chapter 42. So I have the volume 7, and so let's take a look at it. So he's introduced in the chapter, and then he basically tells everyone his name, goes on to say he's Rogo Hyobei Futatsu, right there. You can see Futatsu is katakana. So I figured, you know, it's not needed to translate. You know, that's his actual name. But actually, it was a hint all along. You can see these two characters. They look like swords. So even there, I looked it up. It means twins. So twins, I figured, two swords, right? Two swords. So I just kept it as Hyobei Futatsu. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. However, as you can see in this one, if we just call it Hyobei Futatsu here, you'll notice there's hiragana. You see the hiragana here? So in the previous chapter, it was katakana, and now we have hiragana. So now it's not his name. It's actually something hidden. So that means twins. Futatsu means two, so twins. There are two Hyobeis. That's what that means. So all along we had hints, but yeah, that I totally missed that. Anyways, I noticed it and I wanted to share. Okay, let's go to the second page. The second page, we got they're basically, you know, they're face to face. Here is something I noticed. The first thing I noticed is that, like the previous chapter, you know, you got a face-off, but in the previous chapter with Abe, you had a sphere surrounding the skull. You saw like some kind of, almost like a barrier surrounding him, like protecting him. But here there's nothing. You know, you see like some debris or whatever, so you know there's some kind of wind or something happening. But here, it's almost like stillness. So that's interesting. Also, they mention some interesting things. You got Nagakura saying that I'm no longer a wolf who lives by Aksok-san, and he says he doesn't do that anymore. So that's very interesting, because back in chapter 11, I believe it was, he said the same exact thing after fighting Sojiro. So this is chapter 11 when he fights Sojiro. He says the same exact words right here. And he says right here, Aksoksan wa shinai yo. He says, I'm no longer a wolf who, slays evil immediately, who lives by Aksoksan. And this is very interesting because in chapter, I believe it was 37, I believe it is, where Heisuke dies. I think that's the right chapter. One of his best friends dies. That's Heisuke. Right in front of his eyes. Let's see if I can find it. Anyways, he dies, and at that moment, yeah, there it is, right there. He dies, and then he talks about all the members of the Shinsengumi, like Serizawa-san, Yamamura. They killed each other, and it's over the flawed warrior code, the Aksoksan they live by. And so here you have the old Nagakura who is still with the Shinsengumi, but here, even though he's a Shinsengumi and, still lives by the sword, does he live by the same philosophy of Shinsengumi? No. So I found that very interesting, and perhaps it is the loss of his best friend, of his wife, of the people who he cares for that changed him. So anyway, that's very interesting. And then you got Hyobe here, and he mentions something interesting. He says that if you are strong, so we can recruit you to the Kinkaku Heki, and then I will spare your life. So the interesting thing about this is that it's very not like Hyobe. Hyobe is a killer. He is a lethal and almost no negotiating with him. So it's almost like another person. Again, it goes back to the two Hyobe. It's almost like two people talking. So you got the one who's willing to recruit him, and then you have the Hyobe who basically wants to kill him and slice him up and find out if his, death is valuable, the value of his death. So you get two kind of sides to him. But then it goes even further because let's go to, and also Nagakura also does the same thing. He says, are you sure? Then you leave me no choice. I don't want to have to kill you, but if that's what I got to do, it's what I got to do. So now you look at page 3, and we got Nagakura and Hyobe. Basically, Nagakura is fed up. He gave him a warning. At this point, he's like, I gotta take him out. So he's like, let's do this. Try and kill me. And then, of course, Hyobe goes Sekiriki, which is the brilliance power of the Kinkaku Heki. And his eyes go red, blood red. And then this happens. Immediately, we see this massive spherical crest of blades. You can actually see the blades of his sword wrapped up in this spherical crest, all coming towards Nagakura. Look at that. All there, he's right in the center of it. He's basically pushing it back. But then watch this. This is pretty awesome. Okay, so the next page, you got the police officer in shock, right? So he's basically just like, what in the world? How is he gonna do this? And then suddenly, this happens. Look at this. He goes here, and you see he's stopped him somehow. Look at this. He's got two blades suddenly, and he goes right towards the edge. Look at this. So all that momentum of all those attacks completely stop at that time. So once he has the blades at that edge, it's like his attack stops completely. And so this surprises him. And then look, he's got two blades instead of one, and that's when the skull realizes that. And then this is interesting. Nagakura actually states that it's been since Ikadaya that he's actually used this technique. And then he's like, what is happening? You see this white part, and that part is where he cannot move. He is basically immobile at this moment, and you see the fear in the skull's eyes. So, and also another thing I should point out is that yes, Nagakure gets that pretty badass look there, but then look at the skull. Look how he has two different eye colors here. He has black and he has white. So this also is another clue, and I think I stated this back in chapter 42, that this is more than one person. This is kind of a split personality maybe, or even two people, which I pretty much said at the beginning. They're twins. So you got black and white here with the reactions and with the color of their eyes. Okay, and then here, we've seen this multiple times. This is the dragon tail where he is able to make them immobile. They can't move. And then suddenly, you get this fear in Hyobei. And then again, you got the black and the white. And then he's basically helpless. So he can't move, and he's like, you're too slow. He speeds up, and he's just about to attack. Look at the force of the gravity when he releases his part of the attack. So basically, when the blades are stuck there, he can't move. But when he releases them, he can move. And look at the force. You can see it actually snaps part of his sandal there. It snaps it because he's about to go airborne. This is where he jumps. And he drops one of them. And he's got his other sword. And he's just rising up. And he's about to strike him down. And then here, again, you see where he strikes him in the middle. You see there's one white, there's one black. Again, two different sides to one character. So again, this is another hint that they're twins. They're not one person. So very interesting stuff. Now let's make this a double page because this scan is awesome. This is the scan where he cuts him in half. Yes, guys, this is where he cuts him in half. Look at this. That is badass. Look, he cut him in half, and Nagakura soaring through the air. And you see the dragon tails there. There's 3 of them. So really, really effective technique. Really awesome to see. And then you see him touch down here, cuts him completely in half, and then you see his reaction and everybody else. It's like, what? Like, what is going on? So then this happens. You see the complete split, and then his arm comes off. His arm is cut off. So there's where the reveal is about to happen. Now we have the 2 brothers. They're twins. So you have 2 brothers. They basically, you can see their eyes again, the black, the white. So again, there are the hints. The hints were there all along. Alright guys, I wanted to revisit this page, really awesome page where Nagakura basically stops all the momentum of Hyobei. So the skull, all of his momentum after that huge spherical crest was right there, is stopped by this one blade. You know, he releases that wakizashi, and you can see where the blade is right at. It's right at the edge where it curves. Now something else occurred to me. Look where the other blade is. So both blades are within that curve where the blade basically curves like a sickle. Something occurred to me when we look at the technique on chapter 41. Okay, when we see that huge spherical crest destroy and annihilate, basically make them skulls, you see those blades are also crossed in a crossing pattern like that. You can see the blades are in a similar pattern there. So what makes me think, if you're able to stop the momentum at a certain point, you can expose his weakness. It's not just that he's using the dragon tail here. I think that he exposed his weakness, that this part of the blade, when usually he has them together, but here he's in the middle of them, so he can't use the special technique that he usually does, and all the momentum of that attack has basically disappeared. So it reveals a huge weakness of Hyobei. So I wanted to share that. It also reveals how his attacks are carried out. So again, you guys remember this. This is where it shows, you see the massive sphere there. But if you look closely where the blades are, you can see they're all crossing each other. You can see they're crossing each other. So it's very interesting. But this also reveals how the attack is carried out. So he uses the blades, and somehow the force of using the blades crossing each other, they create more blades. Probably of wind, because we're going to get some hint in this chapter as we continue. Okay, let's get to the page I was on. So this is where the brothers are revealed, the twins, and Nagakura reveals that, oh, there are four blades, not two. So originally they thought it was a dual blade Haori, but actually it's 4 blades because both brothers had 2. So the gentle attack, actually the one brother was in the back, in the blind spot. So he would attack at a certain point, but not all the time. So that's why he was able to stay under the radar, and that's why it looked like he was, attacking and defending at the same time, because one brother attacks and the other defends. So that's very interesting. Now, Nagakura explains a little bit that, this technique takes a lot out of me, but Saito explains that this technique should have killed both of you. You're lucky to be alive, because that is a precise attack that splits your anatomy in half. I mean, it splits your body in half. So he's very lucky. And then he goes on to say, I prefer one-on-one. And this is where the younger brother is like one-on-one, like in a cocky manner. And then suddenly he releases his new technique. Well, he's been hiding this technique. This is more his technique, because remember, both of them were fighting at the same time. And we see the blade and the spiral actually comes outward. Instead of it being like a sphere, it comes outward and spirals around, and it attacks everybody all at once. You can see it shatters Saito's hilt on his sword, and it cuts up some of the swordsmen, and then it even breaks Nagakura. It hits his sword. So this reveals a little bit more about the technique. And going back to chapter 41, where the spherical crest basically destroyed everyone, this one, it goes back to this, because if the younger brother can use that spiral, that means that's where the spiral is coming from. So he is able to use that spiral, and the older brother, who is for defense, he can make it more controlled. That's why it looks more controlled there, and that's why the other one looked out of control, kind of not focused, this one. The Kuratobi blade, the Fox Haori, this one here. So it was very strong, but it's mostly speed and freedom. So here it goes on to talk about the black and white, and how Hyobei Matatsuke and Hyobei Mataza, they're both twin brothers, but they're both general level. And then Mataza reveals that his younger brother is stronger than him and has great attack power, but he doesn't have, he doesn't reveal it, but he's basically stronger than him, so he's going to attack. And then this is where he attacks Abe. So that's where we end off, where we get Matasuke, and basically he's running towards him. and he's about to attack Abe. So very interesting stuff, guys. Now we're gonna look at a couple spoilers. So if you don't want to be spoiled, you should probably stop here and stop watching. So this is chapter 47, the current chapter that I'm working on. This is Yaminobu. You can see the old woman here is, you know, trying to evacuate their area. Something has happened, and of course another Kinkaku Heki shows up. This is the Scarred Man who is after Saito. So that is just a little spoiler there. And then, of course, you get the Shinsengumi here, little background information, and also a scene from the past. So this is the Shinsengumi. You got Saito, Harada, and Nagakura. So I will release the raws for this soon. So look forward to those and more news on DT Ninja 831, my Facebook page. Look forward also to my discussion of chapter 44. So anyways, guys, that's pretty much it, and I'll see you guys in the next one.